Hi there, this is Katie, CEO and founder of Pearl Adoptions. Just jumping on today to give you a little bit of guidance on the home study. If you are interested in domestic adoption, the first thing that most families do in order to begin the domestic adoption process is to get a home study. What the home study is basically an assessment of a family and their capability to adopt. So typically it is done by an adoption agency or an independent licensed social worker. It depends on the state whether or not it's done by an agency or a social worker. And then they're coming in and they're basically gathering information about your family in order to determine if you are fit to adopt. And so the reference to home study makes people think that it's much more about the home than it really is, when it's really more about the family and their circumstances. While they look at the home as well, that's just one component to the home study. But I wanted to pop in because I feel like a lot of families that we have been seeing lately who have gotten a home study before they've signed on with Pearl have come to us not really understanding what their home study was for or what it included. And what we found is that most families don't understand that the home study actually includes a section of the home study about the child that that family is approved to adopt. And we often see families have that section of their home study written really narrowly as it relates to the race of the child, the substance use that might be acceptable for that family, the mental health concerns or other medical conditions. And we find that a lot of families start really narrow with these preferences, and once they understand adoption, much more they open up. However, if their home study is written really narrowly, it means that they're going to actually have to update their home study in order to update this section on the child that they're approved to adopt. And so we really encourage families to either start with some education up front about these topics so that they go into their home study much more prepared for adoption and prepared to answer questions about their preferences, or that they just generally stay very open in the discussions with the home study provider about these areas, understanding that they're going to get more education on these topics going forward, particularly if they work with a professional like Pearl. So make sure you're aware of this section in your home study on the child you are approved to adopt, and make sure you pay attention to what that section says and that it really aligns with what you're really open to in your adoption. It'll save you a lot of trouble and money down the line if you go into that as broad as possible, or if you go into that really knowing what you want in your adoption and what you're open to in your adoption, so that you don't have to update your home study down the road once you gather that information and expand on your preferences. Here at Pearl, we have a new option for families to do a consultation with us on adoption and get better understanding as to what's happening in the adoption world, and spending quite a bit of time with either myself or one of the other advisors about adoption, so that they can go into their home study much more informed and start from the beginning of their adoption journey with a plan in place. Even if they may not be moving forward in that journey really quickly, it gets them a jumping off point that is much more prepared and educated. So we encourage families to check out our new package in our pricing sheet for our coaching and consultation package. And families that do that, even if they don't sign up with us for one of our more full service packages, may still get to see adoption opportunities once they are home study approved, as long as they stay in contact with us and get us a copy of their home study. So it can be a really helpful resource for starting the journey, as well as a resource for potentially outreach, more networking for these families down the road once they are actually certified to adopt or home study approved. Depending on what state you're in, you might use a different terminology. But I hope this has been helpful to understand a little bit more about the home study process and make sure that you're a little bit more in the know about what to expect from that home study and what important sections it includes. Thanks so much for checking in.